scratch. I've hosted countless closet sales. I've styled many just regular women here in Houston, where I'm from. And I just, if it was anything fashion and I could immerse myself into it, I do it because fashion is really my one of my first loves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how did you get into fashion? What prompted
So
that?
it's very natural for me um, to just want to do anything related to it. I started because I did work for many years, a corporate job, and I started out just doing corporate things, believe it or not. Like if we would have, I worked for AT&T
Hmm.
shortly after high school, and if they had like a fashion show or, just something like with vendors, I would always volunteer or throw myself in there. Like I've done United Way fashion shows. So I started off doing things corporate. And to be quite honest, I would be as a plus sized woman who's larger. Um, Other women, and not even just plus size, all sizes, would stop me and ask me
Hmm.
about what I was wearing. So that just kind of led to like me thinking, wow, could I monetize this in a way? Just giving advice, because it was something that I love to do and I still love to do it.
Hmm.
But I've always been told that if you love to do it, then it'll never feel like work. If,
Absolutely.
if you want to, if you're thinking about monetizing a hobby. And so from there, I said, well, what's the best way? Because I didn't want to deal with like one on one clients at first. Um, I started off just like styling my friends and family because that was easier because I could be painfully honest. And, I really didn't even know how to charge. But from there, I said, I'm going to turn this into a boutique. And then when I style clients, if I need to get pieces outside of the boutique, then that's what I'll do. And so I
Yeah.
opened a boutique in 2013. I opened a boutique, and then from there, I just started networking. And once you get into like in whatever city you're in, if you're looking and or thinking about going into fashion,
Hmm.
the first thing I would say is immerse yourself into your city's local fashion scene.
That
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, because that's exactly what helped me, and I later propelled to other cities, but start right where you are. I mean, everybody can't
Hmm.
afford to jump on a plane or even take a Greyhound. So, if you're in Houston and you decide, "Oh, I wanna go to Dallas Fashion Week or Austin Fashion Week." I don't know if those are
Hmm.
actually fashion weeks, but just saying,
Yeah.
if you wanna start small and then eventually branch out, that's, to me, what I would suggest anyone to do because they may not necessarily have the money. And even if you don't have the amount of money to invest in to your closet or to other people's closet, start with what you have. Go to Goodwill, go to a thrift store, pull pieces from there because that's pretty much I got started with like $0. I didn't have a lot. Um, I'm, a girl from West Airport in Houston, not didn't make a lot, hadn't graduated college yet. And so I used literally the resources of like my friends' closets and my closets until I could get more. And then I just built off of that.
Isn't that the beauty of starting a brand? Is literally starting from nothing
Yeah,
and then watching it flourish over time.
absolutely.
That's the beauty of it.
That's a whole other podcast, just talking
Right.
about using
Right.
what you have to get to where you really want to get to.
Yep,
Because I feel like my
absolutely.
whole life really has been just that. It did
Hmm.
get better. I wasn't scrummaging, and my clients can say like, it's at some point they'd be like, "Hey, we don't have the money for." I was just telling my brother that like when he talked about my styling career because I told him I was coming on to the podcast today, and he was like, do you just talk about your famous clients? I'm like, no, the clients that really made me are really, the everyday women. Those are the ones that I love. Those are the ones that really made me work because they didn't have budgets. And, um, for me, it's one of those things where I never wanted to be one of those people like, oh, you can't afford me because I started
Mhm.
from the bottom. So,
Yeah. I think that's so powerful because this is exactly I used to sell trails, and exactly what you said was exactly our thought process when it comes to certain clients. Yes,
mhm,
we love the clients that come in and drop 10 stacks and then they're gone. But
mhm,
the best clients are the ones who come in every other week. $300, $200 here,
mhm.
$1,000 here. The clients, the big clients are going to spend a lot of money. You're probably only going to see them once, maybe twice a year.
Yeah, you
But
don't see them that
those
often.
repeat clients, no, you don't see them often. It's the ones that make you
Mhm,
work, that you get to know, that you know their family, they know your family. We
mhm.
see each other on an every other week basis because you're supporting my business, my brand, or wherever I'm working at. Those are the
Right.
clients that help you get to where you're going. So I completely
Absolutely.
understand that. Yes. And Seth Godin,
I took those bricks and built my business
yes,
off of them
absolutely.
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I follow Seth Godin, and one of the things that he says is find your 10. Find your 10
Mm.
people that like you, love you, support your brand, and focus on
Mhm.
making those 10 people happy. Boom.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've been saying that, and I don't know if this could be a segue, but, um, or if you're going to speak on specifically my breast cancer journey, but I feel like I've said that more than anything in the last couple of interviews that I've done. Um,
Yeah.
because regardless of if it's a business or an illness or
Mm-hmm.
just like a trying time, a new baby or whatever you have going on, you got to find your tribe because that's who's supporting
Yes.
you, that's who's providing.
Absolutely.
So whether it's like your 10 best clients, I agree with that. If it's your 10 best clients, if it's your 10 best friends, if it's your 10 best relatives, or it's a combination of friends, relatives, clients, um,
Yep.
make sure that you identify them because I absolutely agree that it's important that they know how important they are to you and you are to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Absolutely.
And clearly they're important, you're important to them because you see it, you see the effort that they put in just with their level of support. And I've had some, dream clients, and I literally
Mm-hmm.
feel like, um when and so many different things that I've had to like identify to reach out to them for whatever I was doing in my business, I could name them so quickly. It wasn't
Yeah.
a question of, well, who's your top clients? Who are the top people that you styled? There wasn't a single celebrity name in that
I like
list.
that.
They're all repeat customers. And again, I live in Houston, so they most of them live here. I can drive to their house. They know
Yeah.
me, I know them. We celebrate each other's milestones. So
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So yes, let's lead into that because for you, life probably was going well
Mhm.
up until June 2022. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about June 2022. Actually, I have a question.
Mhm.
Well, let I'm gonna let you talk about it first, and then it'll lead into the question. Go ahead.
Okay. How is life going? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Mm,
I say this in all sincerity for any of your small business, big business owners, corporate individuals, anyone who is embracing something new or just starts the year or the month or the day and they think, here's what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do it.
mm-hmm.
So, backing up a little bit, I started. 2022 with a plan. Um, Prior to COVID, I or right after COVID, I decided because COVID, me being single, I don't have children, not married, and I wasn't in a relationship, I was like in this condo. And COVID was crazy for everybody. Like, we don't have to go there, but it was crazy because you realize, I think certain people came out of COVID realizing certain things about their life that they never really had to pay attention to, because it made
Absolutely.
us sit down and focus
Mhm.
and notice other areas. So I'm an avid traveler, and being single, I can jump up and travel at any time. And so when COVID came, I had to sit down, and I was literally in this condo that I was living in, that I thought was the best condo in the world, until COVID made me sit down, and I had to spend like 24 hours a day in this condo, and I instantly became depressed and suicidal, because everybody else is like quarantining with their loved ones, with their children, and
Mm.
I'm sitting here in my house like, "Oh, this is not gonna work."
Yeah.
And it's dark, and I mean, I'm noticing things like my condo's really dark. It's nobody that walks by. I'm in here like, if I died, who would notice? So these are all the things I'm going through. So ultimately, I bought a house. And I bought a dream house that I thought, this is the end, this is where I want to be.
Mhm.
And I moved to that house, and I told my mom, who also was in quarantine because she's elderly, I was like, "Hey, come quarantine with me." When I started 2022, I had decided in my mind that I no longer want to be in that house. Houston has become a place where a lot of people are moving, and real estate was like really doing well in that moment. Interest rates were still pretty low. And so I started off the year 2022, and I said, this is going to be the year that I scale down, because what I
Mhm.
really want to do, my clothing line is manufactured in Lagos, Nigeria,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't feel financially supported enough to where I'm making money from my business to be able to travel to check in. And I'm like, production is lower. I'm just thinking like I need to be in London. I'm thinking of all the places I need to be traveling to. So I started off 2022 with a plan to sell my house. And I ended up selling my house in May 2022.
Mm.
And at that point, okay, so I've made a good amount of money. I'm hyped. Like, here we go. I start putting things into place because I'm not going to do the corporate thing much longer. I'm about to go full time. Literally had called my one of my girlfriends that lived in South Africa. I'm like, I'm going to go there because I want to get my items in some of the stores. Full on plan. So I go and move in with my brother. At the end of May is when I closed. So in June, I'm in the thick of it. I've moved with him. I'm lining things up. And in June, I found the lump.
Mm. Mm.
So I literally had given myself the summer, because I said, I'm going to buy a condo, something smaller, like a home base. And all of a sudden, my world just came to a stop.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that I've been very adamant about expressing when I talk about this lump is the difficulty that I experienced with getting the lump assessed, because there's this, pop culture stigma of get checked, get your mammograms, make sure
Right.
you're 40
Mhm.
and up. And so I was doing what we've been told. Um,
Right.
for years. And I'm 45, so I've been getting mammograms, since 40, like avidly getting them because that's what we're told. Well, they don't talk about when you do find a lump, or when you do get your mammogram and there's issues, what the process is from there to make sure that it's not cancerous.
Yeah.
It took from June until October for them to identify that I had breast cancer.
Wow.
I had to put myself in the MD Anderson system. I had to wait almost 5 weeks to get a call back from them. Going through the St. Luke's or whatever the system is that my OB-GYN is attached to was was
Mhm.
pointless. People were out, they were on vacation, it's summer, nobody's calling me back. I'm calling two and three times. Meanwhile, this lump is getting bigger because
Mm.
I was diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer. So your breasts are not the same size, and sometimes you have a rash. So by the time I was diagnosed, it was stage 4.
Oh,
So we started from a lump that I could,
wow.
feel, and by the time it was moving in such a rapid pace. Um, so I don't know if I've answered your other question that you had, but that is
No,
ultimately
that
how.
that actually leads perfectly right into the question. I'm looking at it, and
Okay.
because I want you to walk us through that journey of the unknown, from June 2022, when you
22.
found the lump, from
Right.
when you were actually able to go see a doctor to
Correct.
when it was actually diagnosed in October.
Mhm.
How did that feel, that journey of the unknown?
Well, I have a huge amount of faith. I stand and walk in faith, on faith, in favor, on favor. I'm very, very spiritual. I am
Mhm.
on a prayer line. Initially, it was 3 times a week, and then I joined a cancer small group once I was diagnosed. So now it's 4 times a week. I'm a praying individual.
Yeah.
I stand on God's word. So immediately I was kind of dispelling the thought. I didn't want to give the enemy or just any I didn't want any negative mindset to kick in that I had cancer. Um
Mhm.
and I think I was very secretive and private about who I talked to. And once I brought my mom into it, it's like we were able to pray, while we waited it out. And so I honestly, in the beginning, was thinking, you know what? I've had COVID previously. This could be attached to the vaccine because I'm hearing these things from people that have found
Mm.
lumps that, were able to just get them removed and it was no big deal. And I just never gave myself that that diagnosis and then at that stage 4. Um
Mm.
I do think and feel that the system was not attentive enough. I got frustrated many times because I put myself in the MD Anderson system. And we're not talking about somebody who's an entrepreneur that doesn't have insurance. We're talking
Right,
about
right,
someone who has the top level insurance. You would never think that somebody like me who has the a great insurance, Aetna, the top plan, that this would be my issue.
right, right.
Um I didn't have anyone specifically advocating for me. I didn't have that knowledge base of, what people go through when they get cancer. So now all of a sudden, not only am I going through trying to figure out or trying to get the results, but I'm also like Googling and talking to people. And so now all of this is happening. And then MD Anderson came back and they were like, oh, we have to do a series of biopsies. And I didn't agree with that. I still, to this day, don't agree because I'm a Black woman and I work in clinical trials. And so,
Mhm.
like, when you think about Tuskegee and, like, that's never set well with me. And as a Black woman, I was not okay with them taking my tissue samples. So,
Oh.
the first time I really wasn't okay with that. But they had to take three because the cancer had spread so aggressively. They had to take three tissue samples, and I was not okay with it. Every time, your girl almost threw in the towel because I was
Ooh.
like, I'm telling you, I'm being
Mm.
very honest with you in this moment, and
Mhm.
I don't think that I've in any interview said it this way. I wasn't for it. I felt
Right.
like, hey, God has blessed me. I've lived an amazing life. I've traveled. I've seen the world. I've accomplished so much that some people will never get to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, if this is the end, let it be the end because I'm not going to let y'all keep taking my tissue samples. I definitely wasn't down for chemo and I absolutely wasn't here for for radiation. I
Hmm.
I was like, no, y'all can count me out. So don't say what you won't do because I did ultimately do those things. But and they sat me down and told me when they gave me the diagnosis, I'll add this that I had a 40% chance to live.
Oh, whew. That was one of the most powerful things too. Reading your bio, like reading it, it's like 1 minute everything was going fine for you,
Right.
and then
It
the
was.
next minute it's like I'm dying. I could be. This could kill me here in the next couple of days, weeks, months.
And just to back up, Sabrina, everything was going fine.
Mm,
I was on track. Um, and let me say, delayed is not denied.
absolutely,
Delayed
I
is
agree with that.
not denied.
I agree with that.
But in my mind, I was doing what was necessary for me to reach that level that I needed, that in my mind I could get to
Hmm.
and that I deserve.
Yeah.
Because you think about like, man, I've been hustling a long time, but if I just do this, I can, it's the entrepreneurial thing that we just kind of go through and we think, okay, I'll put together a plan. If this doesn't work, I'll try this. When you're in hustle mode, that's what you do. So everything was on track for me in 2022 to ascertain the things that
Hmm.
I deserved. And
Yep.
God said, hold on, don't even think that what you're putting together is what I want you to have.
Mm.
It makes a little bit more sense. I'm definitely more appreciative now. Um, I don't take anything lightly, nor do I take it for
Yep.
granted. I also, let me tell you this, Sabrina, I stand on business.
There
Because
you
what
go.
you're not finna do is play with me in any
Oh.
capacity. Baby, somebody just told me I had a 40% chance to
Mm.
live and the
Mm.
cancer was spreading aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
If God has preserved me and said only 30% of people, of women my age that are diagnosed with my type of cancer actually survive.
Yeah.
If God spared me, clearly there's work to do. And He didn't keep me here for foolishness. He didn't keep me here for junk. He didn't keep me here for, fish, for wishy washy people, flaky people. He didn't keep me here for that. He
Yeah.
clearly kept me here for my testimony,
Mm.
for my ability to bridge the gap between, faith and people who may struggle with it, with,
Yes.
using my testimony. Um, he strengthened my ability to present my gifts. The Bible said that your gifts will make room for you.
Mm-hmm.
This journey that I'm on, even the podcasts and interviews that Sheba has had me do, um have opened up things that I didn't, it's like you think you know what you want, but then let something happen to you and then you're like, "Oh, well, wait a minute. I didn't even know I could do that." I
Oh,
did a whole
absolutely.
fashion segment the other week. Like it was like a whole fashion police, e-fashion police, and I was like, "This is fabulous." I never even thought, even in all my years of fashion, I never thought that I could tie that with journalism and make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say for anyone, it doesn't have to be about my breast cancer journey. What I want people to understand is know what you possess and do not allow people to play with your gifts.
Yep.
Your price is your price. Your knowledge base cannot be played with. if people show you who they are the first time, please believe them.
Oh, absolutely on that.
Now I'm in a position where I can say, don't play with my time, don't play with my gifts. God kept me here for a reason. Why would I allow you to have access to me and you don't actually value what I possess?
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Kimberly, that actually leads right into one of my next questions that I have coming up. That word testimonial, testimony, so powerful to me. I'm going to take a quick commercial break and
Got it.
then we'll be right back with more Hidden Images podcast. Y'all already know it's all about Mojo Savage. Here we go.
I want for lunch, serving curry, go and cut. How you do this all at once? Ooh, I came up from nothing and it's crazy. Money be the motive on a daily. That's what motivate me.
Sean got that flash drive, bro. I thought them beats was gone.
Why you keep bringing up that flash drive?
Sean can't do what I can do with them beats.
If you disrespect me, we gon' share.
Good afternoon, hip hop. It's your girl, and I'm back with the homie Rolling Royce.
You know what? I'm gonna show you how a real rapper do this, though. You feel me?
So right now we're looking for an artist out there that stands out, bringing that real, raw, true essence of real hip hop.
Down, ay, keep your composure. You never be closer to a supernova.
Listen,
I tried, told you.
You can be as big as you want to be with this music shit, bro. The only thing you gotta do is be consistent.
Don't go nowhere either. You need to learn something.
We on. What the fuck?
Sean, do you know any reason why somebody would want to kill your brother?
Nephew, please tell me what yourself causing some mess.
Head to Triple Dirty record to get more details on how to enter.
I hear hissing. I see you roll.
Hey, they picked you.
They're knocking the door.
I got some Dallas legends in the building tonight as well.
Gotta watch these. Gotta watch these niggas.
This is hip hop, baby.
I hear hissing.
This competition is getting real stiff right now.
Hey, they asking what you want to be introduced as. You still going by Sean King?
Nigga. Gotta watch these.
But one thing though, Sean, when we do this, ain't no going back. That means after these niggas tell you what you want to hear,
Welcome back to Hidden Images Podcast, powered by the all-new Hidden Images Radio Network, a Dallas podcast hub, plus the top variety of music, all under one roof. And y'all already know Mojo Savage movie is out right now on Tubi. If y'all haven't watched it, head over to Tubi right now and watch it. Also, download that soundtrack. It's probably one of the hottest soundtracks from a movie that's not even in the motion picture films that I have heard in a long time. So y'all remember to check out Mojo Savage movie on Tubi and that soundtrack. But right now, we're here with Miss Kimberly Williams, aka professionally known as Kimberly the Stylist. So if y'all are just tuning in, y'all have been missing a great episode right now. Me and Kimberly are talking, of course, business, but we're also talking about her journey as a breast cancer survivor. And we left off with you talking about how powerful the journey is to be able to share your story and share your testimony. And I'm so glad you said that, because literally here in my notes, I have the word testimonial written down, because that leads me into, I want to read a part from your bio, and it's going to lead me into a comment and then a question.
Sure.
And so this is the very ending of the bio that Miss Sheba sent to me. And so it says, as her story continued to take flight, Kimberly plans to use her breast cancer diagnosis and journey to influence, uplift, empower, and inspire others by providing healthy environments and empowering platforms enriched with self-acceptance and self-love. I wanted to touch bases on that particularly because so many people get shunned for telling their story. Oh, you talk too much. You saying too much. You don't need to share that. But for me, it's different. exactly what the ending of your bio explains is you may not want to hear my story, but there's a woman or a person behind you that may need this story. So
Yes.
while you may not want to hear it, or other people may not want to hear, oh, you might call it complaining or whatever. No, there's a person that needs to hear this because they're going through
Hmm.
something similar and they don't know how to come out of it. They don't have someone in their corner that's helping them, that's guiding them. They don't have anyone that they can turn into. And so that leads me to ask you about sharing your testimony.
Hmm.
What was it like? Because I think you shared in the beginning, like you said, it was hard for you. And I understand that because I
Hmm.
went through something a long time ago. And at first, it was hard for me to talk about it, but now I'll talk about it.
Right.
But talk about your testimony, talk about how powerful it is. How hard was it for you to start telling your story?
Mm. So I didn't tell my story initially. The release or the testimony or the like announcement per se happened on October 1st of this month.
Mm,
So from that June 2022, when you look at my breast cancer biography, from that time up until October 1st, I didn't share with anyone.
mhm.
I kept it to myself because I'm a naturally private person,
Yeah.
but I knew someone prophetic came to me and said, I firmly believe when we didn't know what, was going to happen, this person came to me and said, I firmly believe that God is going to keep you here. He's giving you a testimony, and that testimony will be used to help women around the world,
Mhm.
is what was said. And I feel
Absolutely.
like when you going through it, people say anything. I'm like, okay, girl. All right, around the world. All right, and I didn't make sense of that because all I knew is what
Mhm.
my current circumstance was. I was just like, okay, well, um, I'm private, and if I get through this, we'll see. Um,
Mhm.
so the natural reaction, because I'm just, a little known in fashion, but my brother is a former YouTuber. He has a huge travel platform. Travel is a new club. He's like 100,000 followers on just that page. So he's
Okay.
actually, yeah, he's very, very well known. Um, and he announced it. So when I put my
Mm.
post up, he took that as a segue, because he wanted to he wanted to celebrate the I had a mastectomy in August, at the end of August, and my right breast was removed. And so they were able to get majority of the cancer and then the radiation. So the pathology report for those areas was clear, but they feel that I'm on my way to being cancer free right after radiation. So
Mm, good.
we're celebrating that. We're talking about that. And so
Mhm.
my brother put it out there. He's like, she don't have cancer no more. I'm like, he needs to shut up. But he did it, and so it was a difference when he posted it and then I posted it, because then all of a sudden I started getting these
Oh,
messages,
the relief.
and it was like the floodgates were open,
Yep.
and all of a sudden women wanted to either share their story
Mhm.
or talk to me because he has a different platform than I do.
Yep.
My friends were just kind of like, "Oh, we're glad you're still here, blah blah blah." But when he posted it, it was almost like an influencer, well-known influencer posted it. And so from there is when that testimony really began to come into
Mhm.
play, because now I'm getting questions, and now I'm, being asked to support various endeavors. And um, one of our mutual friends came to me, and testimonies are great when you're helping someone, but they also can be very real when you
They
put it
can
into
be.
when you put it into the perspective of, I have a testimony and I'm excited. But then you have someone come to you, and one of me and my brother's friends, she's a very well-known influencer. I don't know if I should say her name, but she's a business CEO influencer, and her platform is huge. And so she reaches out to me and she's like, Kim, don't think I didn't see it. Um, I saw your post and I saw Lewis's post. And she says, my cousin died of your cancer about 3 weeks
Mm, mm,
ago. And and at this point, I can tell that she's struggling, with even just her message to me.
mhm,
It's like, I don't know. Um, she said she was my favorite cousin. She said, and I don't have words right now other than I'm glad that it didn't take you to.
yeah, wow,
And so the relevancy of that, of my testimony, becomes very real when you can compare it to your own life. And I had another gentleman walk up to me and he's like, I lost my mom to breast cancer. I mean, so then it even helps me. The testimony is actually, yeah, it's my testimony and I'll talk about it. But now all of a sudden it's like a confirmation that Kimberly, you're very
mm,
blessed and fortunate. Everybody doesn't make it out.
that's true.
And
Yes,
some people have been given, I'm hearing people say, well, they had stage 2 and stage 3, and once they had chemo, their body couldn't handle it, they passed away. So, girl, you had a whole, talking to myself, you had a whole stage 4. You went through 2, 3 rounds of major chemo. The cancer was spreading, and God still saw it, that it would be fit for you to still be here.
yeah,
That testimony, I'm so pleased that it helps others. But that testimony has been done more for me than I believe that it's done for other people, because
woo, mm,
just that feedback of hearing people say, like for this young lady to say, and she gets paid to speak. She's a
mhm,
business influencer. She gets paid to speak, hundreds of thousands of followers. Major CEO retreats. All she does is speak. And she says, Kimberly, I couldn't find the words
wow,
because my cousin just died of your rare cancer, not even
mhm,
a few weeks ago. Testimonies work both ways,
yeah,
Sabrena, is all I want to
absolutely,
say. They work both
absolutely.
ways.
Oh, 100% agree with you. I recently went through a divorce. So people who follow me, they already know it's literally played out badly on social media.
Yeah.
Um, but that motivated me more to start the Women with Purpose tour. And I had already started it in the middle of the separation and things like that, even before the divorce was final. Things already started. We had already put on a couple of tours and events. Um, but in the middle, last year was like the hardest year
That
because it was
sounds
right in
like
the
something
middle
I
of
need to
everything.
be at or on the panel. Women
The
of
Women with Purpose tour,
Purpose.
you
Yeah,
have to.
yeah,
Yes,
it
so
sounding like
we'll
I can contribute a
definitely, our
lot.
next event is November 5th. After that, March 31st here in Dallas, and then it'll be Irving in May. So we tried Houston, but
Mhm.
Houston in September, but it just didn't go well. I picked a bad weekend. So many things were going on that weekend, so we just ended up canceling the event. But we're gonna try for Houston again next year. So I'll
Okay.
definitely keep you in mind for Houston.
Well,
But
Sabrena, bloom where you're planted.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Bloom where you're
Mhm.
planted. I mean,
Mhm.
Houston sounds good, but two different markets, two different
Yes,
types
I
of
learned that.
women, two different,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, you're in
Mhm.
TD Jake City and people
And
there
that's
are
the and
more,
that weekend was the same weekend as
hmm,
her event. Same
yeah.
weekend, and I didn't know.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I have to say when you said that, that word resonates with me. If I had a pen in my hand or a Sharpie, I would write that down. Purpose.
Yeah, women
Purpose.
with purpose
Wow.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So,
finding your purpose. Every woman doesn't get to that purpose. I'm
no.
turning
Mm-mm.
45 in let's see. Today's Monday, tomorrow, 1 week from tomorrow or 2 weeks from tomorrow. I'm turning, or no, a week and 2 days from tomorrow. I'm turning from today. I'm turning 45. So I
Mm.
say that to say 40 something years on this earth, and that purpose is just circling back to
It
finding.
is. I understand. I understand. Like, to piggyback off what you were just saying, when I did start it in the
Mhm.
middle of me going through the worst time of my life, I was receiving text messages and emails, and people were reaching out to the brand, and I'm so happy you're sharing your story, and I'm going through this and I'm going through that,
Mm,
and I did so the same thing. I understand, like, it was rewarding for me because sometimes I would read those and I would just cry. And
yeah.
I'm like, in the middle of me going through the most troubling time of my life, I'm able to still empower, uplift, and encourage the next woman. I
Yes.
have a story to tell, and you do too, Kimberly. And so, like you
Mm.
said, that word testimony, I love how you said that it kind of works both
Works
ways.
both
I
ways.
like that. Absolutely.
And
Uh-huh.
I wanted to add just really quickly, it's funny that you talked about your divorce. Not saying that our situations are similar, but the one thing that I've been managing, remembering to mention just for other breast cancer survivors or just who are women that are diagnosed, I started off my journey with a boyfriend.
Mm,
So, that's
mm.
one way to know if your relationship can stand the test of something like this. Because I did
Gotcha.
start off, yeah, I started off, I
Gotcha.
was dating someone, it was pretty serious, and we didn't make it through. So, can't compare to a divorce, of course, but I want to say that in the time that you would think that you would have someone, everybody's not built to withstand that storm with you.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't expect that he wouldn't be around anymore.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's a good thing, I guess. It
Mhm.
depends on how you look at
Mhm.
it. Depends on how
Yeah,
you look at it.
it does.
But I'm happy that it happened. This is the first time in life that I've learned to love myself, care for myself, learn
Yeah.
myself. I There are so many things I learned about myself that I didn't even know. Like, literally this year was the first time in life I've ever went to the movies by myself.
It's a beautiful place.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh
it's a
man.
beautiful place to be where you
Mhm.
are.
Yep,
Yeah.
it is.
To learn that you can do those things, to give,
Yes.
and you know what? Let me also add something like, oh, we're gonna go to church today.
Okay.
Sometimes we don't give ourselves permission
mm.
because the stigma is, well, you don't go to the movies by yourself or you don't go out to eat by yourself. The stigma is
Mhm.
you always have to have someone with you and you always have to,
Mhm.
someone always has to be sitting
Yep.
across from you while you're dining. Or you don't take, you're not supposed to travel by yourself. Give yourself permission to experience those things, whether they're coming or not.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, I have been just wore down with driving to MD Anderson, wore down
Mm.
with having to either be home or not drink, or I like a shisha hookah, can't take that in. It's just so many. I've had so many rules for the past year, and so a few weeks ago, I was a little nervous because just getting back to doing things that I did before is somewhat difficult. I'm not the same person that I was before, but I took a trip and I went to Istanbul and I went to Paris.
There you go.
Um, I sure did. And let me tell you what, I gave myself permission to take that trip by myself to rediscover some things about me.
Mm.
And so much came out of that trip that I didn't plan on finding out or discovering or identifying. Um, I did so many things by myself. Actually, I have a friend that lives in Istanbul. I met her there 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, we hung out for a day. But for, most of the time, I saw a couple of my friends that live in Paris. But it wasn't about anybody else. I took that trip
It's
and
about
it was
you.
for me. And I did
Yes.
everything that I got up that morning and I felt like doing. I gave myself permission to do it. I
I
got
love
up.
that.
If I felt like having a cappuccino at 7 p.m., which normally I'd be like, oh, it's too late to have coffee. Girl, you on vacation. Have your coffee. I worked and it was fun work because I'm developing brands on my end. I'm still, getting to it. So all of a sudden, it was like if I felt like I wanted to step out and go have a cocktail, I stepped out within reason, of course, within, with
Yeah.
safety measuring the measurement of
Oh, I'm
safety was
gonna drink
always
some
there.
cocktails.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have a
I'm
cocktail.
gonna drink some cocktails.
Being in a city that I've been to Paris, of course, but I'd never been
Yeah.
to Istanbul for long. And so I was in Istanbul for longer than a day. When I was there 3 years ago, I was only there for a day. So I say all of that in hindsight to say, like, this is the year to give yourself permission to do things
Mm,
that you've never done before, to do things without waiting on anyone. Um, Even if the money doesn't add up, oh, you should have seen me finessing this trip, girl, with loyalty points and American Express points and just like hustling my way because remember I didn't grow up with a lot. So if I'm gonna hustle out a situation, I'm gonna hustle it out. And that's literally what I did to manage the best, the most maximum fun, the most luxurious time. I did what was necessary and I gave myself permission.
absolutely. I love that. That I like that. I'm definitely gonna take that message for 2024. That might be my
Mhm.
message for
Yes.
2024.
I love that. Yes.
Because it actually my message for this year is creating the life you want to live. So I think I like that leads into giving yourself permission to do that.
Permission. Yeah.
Wow,
Well, and
I
when you
love
get
that.
past those stigmas, it's so,
Yeah.
the thing too that I felt was important when I didn't give my diagnosis online before I'd actually gone through it
Mm-hmm.
was that was me going through it, pushing, through, focusing on what was needed to get through the actual journey to come out on the other side with hopefully, really good news, a great outcome. And I think that a lot of times we are looking for this. I say all of that to say that ultimately we've gotten to the point in society where we're looking for permission and validation from others.
Mm,
We're
yep,
looking for
that's
this
true.
social media
And we
acceptance. We
shouldn't.
want likes, we want
Mm-hmm.
looks, we want,
Yep.
compliments, we want. And so when I say give yourself permission, I'm thinking about how we normally operate where we're constantly looking for a friend to say, "Oh yeah, girl, go for it."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or we're looking for like 10 of our best, that 10 that we talked about,
Yep.
10 of those, everybody in that group saying, "Yes, go for it." Some people could have said, "Well, you just had a mastectomy, you shouldn't be traveling." I took my time. I had wheelchair assistance. I didn't push, I didn't pull a lot of luggage. I didn't, do a lot of strenuous walking. I
Uh-huh.
did what I felt like doing. If I needed to sleep in, I slept in. If I needed to sit down, I rested. Um, so when we look at taking all that external validation out,
Yep.
removing likes, views, um, let me say this about your podcast. I don't know where you're at now with viewership, but I'm sure when you started, you probably were getting like, okay, first couple weeks, less than 100 views. Okay.
Yeah.
Less than, you
Mm-hmm.
started somewhere, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what you don't know is when God has given you the gift that you are using to reach people, in that 100 or that less than 500, there was one individual in that number that needed to hear what you had to say.
Absolutely.
I say that to say, does that make your podcast any less effective?
Nope.
What about the person that reaches back and says, "Oh my God, I love this Sabrena Ford," and they decide to spend their entire weekend going back and listening to all your old podcasts
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna find those people that are like, "Wow,
Mm-hmm.
she's sitting on something great. Let me go back to this topic, to her breast cancer interview, to her, women with purpose interview." Does that mean because they didn't hear it when you released it that that it won't be effective a year from now, 5 years from now,
Absolutely
10 years
not.
from now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We look at timing and we think it's got to be our timing.
That's not true.
Delayed is not denied. Like I said,
Yep.
June 2022, I had a whole other plan for myself, and God said, 1 second. Let me reconfigure this the way I want it to
Mm-hmm.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so powerful in itself. I mean, we all go through struggles. We all go through hard times, and we feel like we're the only ones, and it's just not that way. Some are worse than others, but we just have to remember that when God, like you said, when he leaves us here, every day he wakes us up, it's another day for us to become more successful, start that business, start that journey, share that testimony, write that book.
Yes.
So every day we should be trying to put forth a little effort towards our passions, our desires, our goals. I've been trying to drop a few pounds for the last 5 years.
Don't even get me started.
But
I
guess
was the
what?
lowest. I had worked so hard. Sabrina, up until the point in which I was diagnosed, I had worked so hard on my weight. I still have about 30 pounds that have attached themselves to my body since this journey. And, with breast cancer patients, it can go either way. I have a
Yeah.
girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
that
You're right.
lost, and she's still higher. I mean, she's still like super low, like she's cancer free and still was unable to like gain her weight back. And here it is, I have the 30 pounds and I'm still looking to try to get it off of me. So don't get me started.
I'm, I try. I tell my friends all the time. I just wish I was a little thicker because I rather have the thicker curves, or give me a small. Like I'm in the middle. Like my size is like. I tell myself it's so funny. I'm like I look like a trapezoid, and I better stop saying that because it's all about positive affirmations.
It is.
So
And
I
if you
am a
were,
beautifully shaped trapezoid.
well, let me tell you what, they took a breast from me and I saw a stomach that I never knew was there. So it could be worse. Okay. It could be
you
worse.
know. And like I just said, some people have more traumatic stories than
Mm-hmm.
others, and it's just all in the power of the testimony. And
Absolutely.
so that actually leads me to actually my one of my last final questions that I have on
Sure.
here. And I want to refer just to one more thing here in your bio. The words naturally strong person, that stood out
Mm,
to me the most, because I'm a naturally strong person. And
yeah.
sometimes naturally strong people tend to get forgotten about Hope I said that right.
No, you said it
when
correctly.
tend to get forgotten about during certain times, or even if nothing traumatic is going on, just
Mhm.
strong people seem to get overlooked and get checked on. And so I want to ask you, um, because it I read that you were there for so many people, and so many people
Mhm.
looked up to you for fashion advice,
Mhm.
beauty advice. When it was your turn to need to lean on someone, who were some of the people that you could call on, that you did call on, that you were able to lean on to?
Because I did not talk about my diagnosis, I did not share my diagnosis. So I have to say that I didn't depend on or talk to a lot of people. Um, and that's primarily just because I'm used to, when I say I'm naturally strong, I'm actually used to handling things internally.
Mm,
Of course, my family, my intermediate family knew, because there was a lot of family members I didn't know.
yeah.
And then I have like one or two girlfriends that I talk to. My assistant was is one of my, probably, she's the keeper and bearer of all my big secrets. So
Hmm.
I leaned on her, and she's also my friend. So being a naturally strong person, I have to say, for the record, it's hard
It
to
is.
either share what you're actually dealing with, or even divulge that amount of information, that, or that weight of something like a breast cancer diagnosis, because when it comes down to it, your natural thought is to just process it internally. And I told the bare minimum, being very honest with
Hmm.
you. Not saying that I would even suggest that. I have to say that there are, if you're in the MD Anderson system, or if you're in any oncology system, they typically have social workers and, counselors. So I would recommend, if you're comfortable having those types of conversations with them, if you don't want people in your immediate circle to know. But I don't always recommend what I did, because I think that you feel a lot better talking about it. And I'll add one other thing. On Saturday, we did a breast cancer locally. We did a breast cancer bike ride. I partnered with an organization that my sorority sister has. She's had cancer. She lost her mom to cancer. Um, and so in that space, where we were there, and it was a bike ride, so the bikers had left, and her volunteers and my team, we were all just kind of sitting around, and she had some survivors that either volunteer with her or just support her events. And they were sitting at a table, and they all looked, well, one of them I could tell she was a survivor, because her hair was short and she just had like all her stuff on. Like, her shirt may have even said survivor. But there were some other like attractive ladies sitting at the table. And I walked over, and we were just kind of all talking. And so each of them started speaking about the fact that they were survivors. And I'm like, wait, for number one, I'm surprised because they're beautiful. And I'm like, wait, what? Um, and then
Mm,
we furthered the conversation, because they're asking me questions. And actually, one of them knew my brother, and she's like, oh, yeah. And when I had my diagnosis, I'm like, wait, you had cancer too? So we're all talking. And I told them, one of the things I said before I got up was, I didn't know I needed this.
wow.
I didn't know that sitting here with three
Mm,
other survivors would be so therapeutic. And
mm,
they all were just like so pretty. All of them was just like, yep, we do it.
wow.
And I'm like, well, where was this my whole? So you could actually, when they give you resources, depending on what, like I said, oncology system or healthcare system you're going through, take the resources, because as
Mhm.
Black people, we're like, no, we want to be so strong. We want to be, just dynamic, especially as Black women. We want to just, we just don't want to bother too many people. We just gonna deal with it. And I personally didn't know I needed that until it happened.
Yeah.
Wow. The conversation was, and we're talking about 15 minutes, so therapeutic, so effective. The fact that they all could relate. One of them had double mastectomy, still beautiful. I mean, just amazing parts of that conversation that I wish I could bottle and keep with me every day
Mm.
as a
Mm.
survivor, just talking to other
Yeah.
survivors. So I
Yeah.
encourage others. Yes, I'm a naturally strong person. No, I should not have done what I did. And if you don't have people that you want to talk to around you, take the help and the assistance, because there
Yeah.
are groups available. And it sounds cliche, but you will get more out of it than you think.
It's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love cliches. I mean, I use
Hmm.
cliches all the time. They're so fundamental to life, to business. I mean, I used to play basketball, so that word fundamental just stuck out to me because my coach used it all the time. You got to play fundamental ball.
Right.
Fundamental basketball wins games, and at the end of the day, it's
It
true. The
seems so basic
fundamental,
and easy. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, that's why the basic stuff still works decades and decades and decades later. That's why I love that saying, if it's not broken, don't fix
Don't
it.
fix it. No.
So you're right. They have those resources available for
Hmm.
a reason. And it may sound cliche, but that's what they're there for.
And you
Yeah.
can actually do, I know that with a lot of insurances, they do cover like a therapist. V Everything's virtual if you want it to be now. So you can get, I think I forgot the name of the system that I was using for my therapist. Not for my recent. I've had a therapist some years back, um, Teledoc. And so if you have Teledoc, I think accepts a lot of insurances. And so you can get a therapist that you can meet by video. If you're a mom and you're
Yeah,
a breast
that's true.
cancer,
Hmm.
and you're diagnosed and you're a mom and you don't have the time, or you still continue to work, or you just are so sick that you can't leave the house, you have all sorts of programs available that you can do virtually if you
Yeah.
just want someone to talk to. And that's helpful. I can remember that being helpful even previous to the breast cancer diagnosis. It was
Hmm.
helpful talking to him. And I feel like we were just as close as we would have been if I were in his office.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And if you need that, those resources are out there to help. They're there for a reason. And
Hmm.
just like Kimberly said, if it's not a friend, use those resources, find a therapist,
Yes.
find somebody to talk to. Even at the end of the day, even if it's yourself, even if you have to get in the corner, close a closet door, cry it out, screaming out, talk to yourself, talk
Yes.
to God, even if you
Yes,
have to do
Lord.
that first, do that because
Hmm.
that
Mm.
release just helps. Just like you said, like earlier, you weren't sharing your story or your testimony,
No.
but it was easier for you once your brother released it. Then
Yeah.
it was like, okay, now,
Now I have to talk about it. Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah. And I bet that did make it just a little easier having that support system
Hmm.
behind
And we
you.
were bearing this secret as a family and the people close to
Hmm.
me. And one thing that one of my girlfriends said Saturday when we were at the ride, she said, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this is crazy that you just said that," because she said that. She said, "Y'all don't even understand the weight of me being one of a few people knowing that she has this secret and I have to keep it."
Yeah.
She's like, "The weight of that on me, it feels so good now that we can talk about it."
Even for them too. See,
And
that's
I
beautiful.
it was a lot for her, and she's like,
Mhm.
"I'm crying, my family's asking me what's wrong," because as I would get news when they would lower my percentage of, what they thought, or tell me the cancer had spread, and of course, I'm talking to her, and she's not letting me know that she's crying and reacting to it privately. Um, but she said on Saturday those very words. She said the relief of being able to not have to keep the secret anymore is huge for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't plan on keeping the
Wow.
secret forever, but
Yeah. Yeah.
in that
It's still
moment,
like you said, timing.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to talk about it. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to
And
have
you
to
have that
be,
right.
because then once you talk about it, you have to give updates. You have to
Yeah.
give,
That's
people want
true.
to, it's like now they're invested and they want to know. So
Mm-hmm.
you had a doctor's appointment Thursday. And it was crazy because the people that did know, well, what happened at your doctor's appointment? So I'm busy having to keep them
Mm-hmm. That's
updated, and
true.
it's a lot. It can become cumbersome
Yeah.
filling all those people in.
Yeah. 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 And it's better to get answers before you're able to give answers. I completely understand
Hmm.
you wanting to wait. Well, let me receive all the information from me
Right.
first. Start my journey on taking care of myself. Then I
Yes.
can share this. Yeah.
I'm in a
Yeah.
much better position mentally to talk about it and to share, and it's not
Absolutely.
overwhelming and it's not a
Mm-hmm.
hassle, and I don't feel like, oh, I'm encouraging them or I'm giving them fake encouragement, or like I'm not acting, or don't feel like I'm acting or keeping up this,
Yeah.
this act of me being positive, when really some days, especially after the chemo, I was like, Lord, if I'm gonna be doing this, just go ahead and take me, because chemo wears you down, and to the point where you don't want to move, you feel like a toxic waste dump. And in those moments, I definitely was like, Lord, I know this ain't what you want for me. Go
Yeah.
ahead and do what
Absolutely.
you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
literally was asking him
Wow.
to
Mm.
make his decision
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that moment.
I can I can't I can relate to those thoughts and another experience of my own.
Hmm.
So I can't say I can relate with your
No, I
journey,
know what you're
but
I know what you're saying.
yes, uh-huh,
When you have another flip side of that would be like a tumultuous series of things going on.
yeah,
And I have literally said the same thing before the cancer, where I was like, Lord, now listen. The Bible says that you will never place more on me
mm-hmm,
than I can bear.
yep.
Where we going with
Where are we
this?
going with this guy? Let me know. I understand. I completely
If
understand.
you have
Yeah,
purpose for me, then clearly
yeah,
I ain't supposed to be doing this
yeah.
or going through this. And
Yeah,
I don't know that I can take another thing. So
yeah,
let's wrap it up.
yeah, yeah. Woo! God is a powerful, powerful, powerful um, thing. Like everything about him is just, woo. Sometimes I have to admit, like here lately, like I found myself mad at
Yeah.
God, and God, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm not mad at you. I just don't understand
Right.
your purpose for me,
Yeah.
But every day I wake up, like I say, I just try harder to push harder
Hmm.
for that. And so I wish the same for you every day, one
Yes.
day at a time. Just keep pushing for your journey, push your
Thank
purpose,
you.
push your brand, everything that you have going. It's
Thank
powerful.
you.
Keep sharing your testimony.
Yes.
Definitely, there are people out there that need to hear it.
Hmm.
Even people, women that haven't gone through this, it might be in their family,
Hmm.
and maybe they need to hear so they can prepare for just in case. So I completely appreciate. I 100% appreciate you being here, sharing your story.
And if I can end with just two things, the first thing that I would like to say is that I encourage women that are getting mammograms to ask about the process if they find a lump, even when they don't find
It's a
one,
good quote. That's a good
to just
statement. Yeah.
be prepared for the
Mm,
next steps, because you don't know, it's like one of those things that we kind of put in the back of our mind, like, oh, well, we don't need it. So my mammogram came back, it's clear, I'm fine.
wow.
But let me tell you, honey, it could all be going very well, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden it's not. And
That's
it's all
true.
good until it's not. So that's the number one thing. And then the number two thing that I would like to add is that if someone is going through something and they're close to you, and they choose not to share, don't be upset with them for not immediately informing you.
Yeah.
A lot of times they are still processing. It's kind of like, and I'll use this across the board, not just breast cancer. As you mentioned, like life changes, divorce, even if they're getting married, newly engaged, and it happened privately, they could still be
True.
wrapping their mind around it.
True.
Something traumatic going on with their children, or something amazing happening in their household. um, those life updates and life changes, we have become so invested via social media that we feel entitled to know everything that's happening with people that we know.
Mm.
And they don't owe us any explanation. You don't owe any explanation. I don't owe any explanation. So I've had to have tough conversations about why certain people were not brought in, um, when I received my immediate diagnosis. And I just want to say, you know, if you love that person, please understand that if it's a life change, dramatic life change like this,
Yeah.
because it literally changed the trajectory of where my life was going. I told you what I had plans to do, and now all of a sudden I'm looking at making sure that I'm, comfortable, and that, I have all my medications, things that I wasn't doing before.
Yeah.
So I say that if you love that person and you hear about it a year, 2, 3 years later, however long, respect the fact that they have started the process of absorbing it. The people that needed to know is who they wanted to know. And that if you love them, you will accept the fact that they don't owe you that explanation
Yep.
until they're ready, or ever,
That's
or
true.
ever.
That's true. Well, we're going to segue into our last segment, and then we'll wrap it up with you, and then we'll get out of here. So
Got it.
we're just going to do one segment. I want to do the Would You Rather Hidden Images edition.
Okay.
And I'm going to tease you here for a little bit. Since you're in Houston
All
and
right.
I'm in Dallas,
Okay.
would you rather own the Houston Texans, or would you rather own the Dallas Cowboys?
So I am not a Jerry Jones fan. I um I despise cult-like followings. So,
Oh,
like, Dallas Cowboys to me has a cult-like following. The Lakers have a cult-like following. So teams that have cult-like following, I would much rather, for that reason, take the Texans.
I like that. I
Hmm.
actually agree with you on that. That cult
Yeah,
like following. You
like like y'all
Beyonce,
don't
Taylor Swift,
uh,
Cowboys,
talk about
Lakers.
it. And Beyonce is, I mean, I don't know if she was next, but I was going with the opposite of whatever she
Oh, but
was.
I was gonna say Beyonce or Taylor Swift because right now they're the two
But I would
top
say
artists.
neither. I would say
Oh
Rihanna.
wow! Oh
Yeah, I
wow!
would.
I'm like,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
okay, I like that. I like
Mhm.
that. I love me some Rihanna too. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
I do. I
just
love to.
cult-like followings scare me.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, my ex built a cult like following for me. They out
For
there trying to get me, honey.
Oh, see?
It's people
Exactly.
online saying that they hate me and this, and that. And I'm like, you
Oh
know
God.
what? I hadn't even shared my entire divorce story journey. Like some people saw some of it play out
Mhm.
online, and
Mhm.
but some of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, I'll share some of that. But a lot of it, woo, I got so much tea. I was like, when I'm ready, I think I'm gonna have somebody interview me, and
Yeah.
then that's how it'll, yeah, because it's just so much.
Well, I'm open to doing that for you.
Oh yeah, I
Just
do.
let
I
me
want
know.
somebody to I want a
Yeah.
man and a woman to interview me, so that way
Ah.
nobody can say that this interview will be biased.
Okay.
Yep, I
That's
want a
okay.
man and a woman.
Or maybe
Uh-huh.
just a man, because you're
Or
going to give
maybe,
a
yeah,
woman, yeah, you're
yeah,
going to give a
yeah, either
woman's
or.
perspective. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But Anywho, that's for another one. But I'm so glad that to sit down and have this conversation with you, Kimberly. I look forward to meeting you. Before we go, plug in your business, your brand, and how people can find you.
Well, I hope that I have not bored these people to death and that they
Not at
still want to
all.
know a little bit about me, because there's some things that I'm so hyped about that I could talk about all day. And empowerment, purpose, as we spoke about, is something I have a newfound respect for the journey. But if you want to follow me in my fashion, I can be found on my personal slash fashion Instagram, Kimmy the Stylist. I no longer style. I forgot to add that to our earlier conversation, but KimmyThe Stylist, Stylist. I am a creative designer, creative director, and designer of Shop LaForm clothing, which is manufactured in Lagos, Nigeria. All the
Mm.
designs are original, my very own designs, taking life, and we are relaunching in February. So I'm hyped about that. That Instagram is SHOPLAFORME, Shop LaForm. And then my other baby, which launched this summer that we didn't get a chance to really talk about, but that's okay, is Curvchella. And
Mm.
Curvchella is CURVCHELLA. And we held the first one this year, which was kind of like the number one question. Everybody's like, how do you have cancer and plan Curvchella? Because the outcome was awesome, amazing. It was well attended. And Curvchella is the bane existence of what I have gone through as a plus size woman, a plus size stylist, a plus size designer. Plus size focus at size large, size 12 and up. um, to even 4X, 5X, and we bring all the vendors in house so that you can
Oh,
shop till
nice.
you drop. And what we do is we really embrace the plus size woman. So we give you a very comfortable environment. We give you a just a beautiful experience of love, of confidence, of acceptance, of body type acceptance. We Me being a stylist, I had and my girlfriend Gugu Atkins, she used to style her sister's Mary. She was there this summer, styling people on the floor. So it was just a phenomenal first run, and I'm
Yeah.
excited about 2024. So,
Well, good.
any plus size ladies,
Congratulations.
follow us at Curvchella, CURVCHELLA, and DM me and let me know if you found me on hidden images, and I'll send you a shirt. We have some shirts
Oh,
that
I
I can
like
send to your
that.
followers. Yeah, our
I like that. Thank you
Barbie
for that
curve
collab.
shirts. Yeah, so
Barbie curve shirts. I like that. Thank you.
if anybody hears this podcast, DM me and I will send you a shirt.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kimberly. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I love this. I love this. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'm definitely going to invite you back so we can talk more about Curvchella. I like that.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
absolutely.
We'll
And
put that on
and
the
we will be,
calendar.
please, August 1st through 5th, 2024. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
perfect. My birthday is August. August
Ah,
31st.
well, it happens
Yeah.
in Houston, the one and only, and we
Oh
do all,
yeah.
honey, we do everything in that 5 days. We party, we do charity, we shop. So I mean, it was
Oh
3 days this
wow.
year, so next year is five, and we do not stop. So just
Yeah,
FYI.
let's stay connected. Let me know if you need any media to be there. I definitely can come there. I'm a photographer as well. I can
Oh,
bring the
nice.
podcast. I know for sure by that time the radio station will be launched and going. So
Oh,
yeah, let's stay connected and see how we can collaborate.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I love that. Yeah. Well, shout out to Sheba, Creative AF
Yes.
for
The best
making
publicist
this
ever.
possible. For
Absolutely.
making this interview possible. That's the power of networking, right here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Kimberly, for your time. Thank y'all for tuning in to another great episode of Hidden Images Podcast, powered by the all new Hidden Images Radio Network, Dallas Podcast Hub, plus the top variety of music, all under one roof. Y'all catch us next Monday for another episode of Hidden Images Podcast. Until then, que tengan un buen día ustedes. Y'all have a good day. Oh, end stream.